Thank you for joining us, Charles.
Pleasure to be here.
Charles, this trip to Turkey, first of all, a couple of people I've heard them talk about, why is the president traveling again? I mean, he had just come back from one trip and he was going again. But if you look at the agreements that have been signed in this case now, would you say it was worth the trip?
I actually think it is. I think we are walking into a new year, and I think the president has made it very clear in his first couple of years of administration that Nigeria is open for business. But Nigeria is open for a two-way business. We recognize that this deal we have with Turkey, Nigeria is the sixth largest country we have in the world, Turkey being the eighth. And I think Nigeria is making it known that, hey, if you do good business with us, we're going to do good business with you.
So, do business. I look at some of the things: halal quality assurance, cooperation, higher education, media and communication, diaspora policy, education, ministries of foreign affairs, economy and trade, and then security.
Sure.
Now, I know that every country is allowed to multi-relate with anybody they want to, in terms of all of this.
Sure.
But then some will now be concerned in terms of how do you then say, okay, this is where I stand, this is my own area. At what point do we say, okay, this is my space? Right now, the Nigerian Senate is looking to investigate the airstrikes of Christmas Day.
Sure.
According to the Senate that brought out Senator Ningi, they were not briefed. There was no, as you say in the US, there was no congressional approval for that airstrike, and so it happens. But we're still going ahead to sign on the agreement. At what point do you say, okay, enough is enough? Can we just go back and look inwards?
I think it's very important that our legislature creates and make it very clear what the path that the president can take. As a legal practitioner, we all follow rules and policy and procedures, so it's really critical for us. And we're always going to know there are going to be mistakes, right? So we're going to acknowledge that. But we want to make sure that every person who's a partner with us, whether it's on a federal level, state level, legislative level, bring those things to fruition. You made mention of something else I think is very interesting. I think when we look at this Turkey and Nigeria deal, it's a good example of that. There are things that Turkey can offer us that other countries cannot. So it's very clear that Nigeria is being very strategic and intentional with the request, as we can see. Education is very important. We have a huge swath of residents who live here, so education is critical. Having a stronger healthcare system and also policy.
But health wasn't mentioned here.
Yeah, I think the thing about it is you can't kill everything at the same time, right? But number one is education. One of the things that was brought up was education. Another one was security. As we know, security is a big issue here. And obviously bilateral trade agreements was also important.
Why I particularly, I was actually going to go to that part about the health thing, because I do know that a lot of Nigerians go to Turkey for medical attention. So one would be thinking that could be one of the first areas of partnership that Nigeria will be seeking. But instead, it's not here.
Well, because it wasn't seeked in Turkey doesn't mean that Nigeria is not looking for other partners. Like I said before, I think it's very important to look at what a country offers. We see, hey, if they offer A, B, and C, if those things are amazing for us, we take it. And I would say we should expect, and we will see, more bilateral trade agreements with Nigeria and other partners throughout Europe, Central America, of course, the United States, because they have things that we don't have that we can also partnership. And the reverse is very true. Turkey signed on for deals with Nigeria because they are also in need of our resources, our human capital, human intelligence. So we're going to provide very good quality services for them, and the reverse.
Let's look at that human capital and human intelligence and the resources that Nigeria has. Nigeria has natural resources, human and natural resources, a lot of them. Many of those resources are exported raw, not at full value. And so at what point do we think Nigeria needs to stop look inwards to work on its resources and then look to sell them?
That's a good question. I think we have to run parallel tracks there. Number one is we have to first think about what is the infrastructure is necessary to do those things, and what is the timeline for creating those infrastructure. So whether it's the machinery it takes to make roads, the machinery it takes to transfer crude oil into one of the four pillars of derivatives from oil, and then putting a time frame for that, saying, hey, in the next 10 years, we want to be 100% of exporting crude oil or extracting crude oil and refining it at home. And I think that's a good example of that. So I think first, again, make an assessment of where we are today. What are the benchmarks we want to put together in the next 4, 5, 10 years and implement those benchmarks?
Okay. Thank you so much. Charles Chukwuebuka Onwuche is a lawyer and international affairs expert. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
We look forward to having you again.
Sure.
Thank you.